Welcome, dear students. Here, firstly, I'll again play the video that we had watched yesterday just to understand the summary of the text from our textbook in English for class 9 behind. Unit number 8, Reach for the Top, Part 1, Santosh Yadav.
Reach for the top. The only woman in the world who has scaled Mount Everest twice was born in a society where the birth of a son was regarded as a blessing, and a daughter, though not considered a curse, was not generally welcome. When her mother was expecting Santosh, a traveling holy man, giving her his blessing, assumed that she wanted a son. But to everyone's surprise, the unborn child's grandmother, who was standing close by, told him that they did not want a son. The holy man was also surprised. Nevertheless, he gave the requested blessing, and as destiny would have it, the blessing seemed to work. Santosh was born the sixth child in a family with 5 sons, a sister to 5 brothers. She was born in the small village of Joniavas of Rewari district in Haryana. The girl was given the name Santosh, which means contentment. But Santosh was not always content with her place in a traditional way of life. She began living life on her own terms from the start. Where other girls wore traditional Indian dresses, Santosh preferred shorts. Looking back, she says now, "From the very beginning, I was quite determined that if I choose a correct and a rational path, the others around me had to change, not me." Santosh's parents were affluent landowners who could afford to send their children to the best schools, even to the country's capital, New Delhi, which was quite close by. But, in line with the prevailing custom in the family, Santosh had to make do with the local village school. So, she decided to fight the system in her own quiet way when the right moment arrived. And the right moment came when she turned 16. At 16, most of the girls in her village used to get married. Santosh was also under pressure from her parents to do the same. A marriage as early as that was the last thing on her mind. She threatened her parents that she would never marry if she did not get a proper education. She left home and got herself enrolled in a school in Delhi. When her parents refused to pay for her education, she politely informed them of her plans to earn money by working part-time to pay her school fees. Her parents then agreed to pay for her education. Wishing always to study a bit more, and with her father slowly getting used to her urge for more education, Santosh passed the high school examinations and went to Jaipur. She joined Maharani College and got a room in Kasturba Hostel. Santosh remembers, "Kasturba Hostel faced the Aravali Hills. I used to watch villagers from my room, going up the hill and suddenly vanishing after a while. One day, I decided to check it out myself. I found nobody except a few mountaineers. I asked if I could join them. To my pleasant surprise, they answered in the affirmative and motivated me to take to climbing." Then there was no looking back for this determined young girl. She saved money and enrolled in a course at Uttarakhand Young Girl. She
Yes, dear students, that's what we had studied yesterday. You got the summary well. Can we proceed with the next then? Where we had stopped, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So here you can see, again I'm showing you from the beginning. This is unit number 8 from our textbook in English for class 9. Honey, Beehive. And this is the part 1, Santosh Yadav. So you know that this is the name of not a man but a woman who is the first and the only woman in the world who has scaled Mount Everest twice. And you know, she was born in such a society where the birth of a son was welcome. But even if the daughter's birth was not welcome, nor it was considered as a curse, but people never wanted daughters born in their society, in their families especially. And so, you know, here how it happened that a holy man who was traveling from one place to another or just passing nearby, and there, you know, came Santosh's mother, and he hoped that she would ask for a son to be born. But there was the grandmother who said no. And there it happened, dear students, that after 5 sons in their family, there was a girl born, the sixth child, having 5 brothers. And where is her village? That is there in Haryana, Rewari district, and name of the village is Duniawas. And this girl's name, you know, was Santosh, which means contentment. But she was never content with her place in traditional way. And the way other girls used to wear the clothes, the Indian traditional dresses, she never put on those kinds of clothes. Rather, she started wearing shorts. And there, the people looking at her used to say that this is a different kind of a girl, and they wanted her to change. But there she says, from the very beginning, I was quite determined that if I chose a correct and a rational path, the others around me had to change, not me. And she was so determined and was confident about herself that she was right. And we also discussed yesterday that if we are right in the society, we should never care of others, but ensure that you are in fact, indeed, you are right. Okay. Then we know how she continued her education in the same village, and even her family could afford sending her to the nation's capital, country's capital, New Delhi, for further education, but they didn't. And there she decided then to wait for the right time, and the right time arrived when she was just 16 years old. And that time, girls in her village were getting married just at the age of 16. And there she did not want. She decided to continue her education. She put this proposal before her parents, but they did not like it, and they wanted her to get married. And there was no option left than running from her house, and she finally went to Delhi, and there she got admitted herself, enrolled in one of the colleges. And finally, she sent a letter to the parents saying that she would continue her education there and will do a part-time job in order to fulfill her needs and pay the school fee. But the parents finally agreed that she does not need to work, rather, they would go on sending her the money that she requires. Just expecting that it is a matter of a year or two, but it didn't happen, dear students, because after she completed her education there in Delhi, you know, she went to Jaipur, and there she got enrolled herself in Maharani College, and there she started staying in Kasturba Hostel. Right, dear students? Do you remember this thing? And you know, Aravali Hills, you know, they are just there next to where she was staying in Jaipur. And once she decided that she should accompany those mountaineers whom she had been watching every day, going up and coming down. So she was little curious to know what is there just after or just behind the mountain. And she simply went there and found some people there and expected that, you know, they may not allow her to come along with them. But to her pleasant surprise, they answered in the affirmative. They agreed. They said that they can. She could go along with them, and they simply did not just allow her, but also encourage, motivate her to climbing. because it was the very first time that she was trying to climb up the mountains. It was her very first experience in her life, and so needed encouragement. Right, dear students? That's what we studied, and also have just watched in a video. What do you say? Yes, dear students, understanding?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Now let's continue with the next. What she did after that? Do you want to know? Number 6 para, this is page number 101. You can see also on the screen and also refer to the textbook if it is there with you. Then there was no looking back for this determined young girl. She saved money and enrolled in a course at Uttarkashi's Nehru Institute of Mountaineering. My college semester in Jaipur was to end in April, but it ended on the 19th of May, and I was supposed to be in Uttarkashi on the 21st. So I did not go back home. Instead, I headed straight for the training. I had to write a letter of apology to my father, without whose permission I had got myself enrolled at Uttarkashi. And dear students, once she was determined and a bit more, she was finding something new in the world that she always wanted to learn. And the very first trip, the very first journey to climb the mountains really attracted her, and she found her interest in climbing the mountains. And so she wanted to continue in that only. And there, her last examination was there in Jaipur in her college in the month of April. But maybe, or perhaps for some reasons, it ended on 19th of May. It was extended till 19th of May. And without asking her parents, as she realized herself more interested in climbing the mountains, she wanted to get some training so that she could be a professional mountaineer. And so she got an admission in one of the colleges at Uttarkashi. And there, her joining date was 21st May. There was just a gap of 2 days. So how could she go back to her home? Not possible. So she directly went from Jaipur to Uttarkashi. Jaipur is in Rajasthan and Uttarkashi is in. Yes, dear students. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So what do you say? Where is Uttarkashi? Jharkhand or Himachal Pradesh? Anybody? Okay, where was she from? Just you can say.
Haryana.
Yes, very good. So do you think she could go from Rajasthan to Haryana and then to Uttarkashi? In 2 days, she had only 2 days to travel. So what could she do? So Uttarkashi is in Uttarakhand, not in Jharkhand, nor in Himachal Pradesh, but it is in Uttarakhand. Haridwar and those where the origin of the Ganga river is there.
Nearby Rishikesh.
Yes, very good. Right, dear Piyush. And so she could not get time to go back to her home and from there to Uttarkashi. So she preferred to go to directly Uttarkashi, and at last she had to write a letter of apology to her father because without father's permission she had herself enrolled at Uttarkashi. And what was the course of mountaineering? And what is the name of the institute where she sought her admission and wanted to get enrolled for that course? Uttarkashi's Nehru Institute of Mountaineering, right? And there she went and continued her training. Then how was her training? Let's see. You can see here a picture on page number 101, right hand side, bottom. Iron will, physical endurance and mental toughness characterize Santosh Yadav. So iron will, strong will, physical endurance. There should be strength. You have studied in the summit within in class 8, the lesson, the qualities that are required. What are the qualities are there mentioned? Endurance, persistence, and willpower. Similarly, here Santosh Yadav says that iron will, that is strong will. Physical endurance, that is endurance. And mental toughness. Person should be mentally strong, emotionally strong, and of course, physically strong. And then only the person can be successful in climbing up the mountains because it takes the last ounce of one's energy. Then thereafter, Santosh went on an expedition every year. Her climbing skills matured rapidly. Also, she developed a remarkable resistance to cold and altitude. Equipped with an iron will, physical endurance, and an amazing mental toughness, she proved herself repeatedly. And dear students, after she completed her training there, she found more and more interest in climbing. The mountaineering and being in the mountains became the integral part of her life, without which she could not live. As we have studied in class 8, that HPS Ahluwalia, he says right from his childhood, he was so attracted by the mountains that whenever he was away, he found himself miserable, lost completely, because mountains were the part of his life, integral parts. And here, the same we can find in Santosh Yadav. And because of being continuously in the mountains, her body, adapt the cold and also the altitude over there. And she could develop that much of resistance to such a cold and altitude that is there in the mountains. She became habitual of this thing and she found no difference there, but she could rather find her place different from the mountains because nowadays she was more feeling at home in the mountains, right? Equipped with an iron will, physical endurance, and amazing mental toughness, she proved herself repeatedly. And everywhere, she used to just find out the opportunities so that she could just get a chance to climb up the mountain. Any mountains. Just she comes to know that there is a mountaineering taking place, she used to go and participate. And that way, she was very much successful in climbing up the mountains and being a mountaineer. Then the culmination of her hard work and sincerity came in 1992. Just 4 years after, she had shyly asked the Aravalli mountaineers if she could join them. And dear students, just after 4 years, in 1992, after she had, asked for those mountaineers if she could join with them to climb up those Aravalli hills, she achieved the highest success in her life. And can you say what is it? Yeah, you're right that it is all about climbing up the Mount Everest, the highest peak in the world, with 8,848 meters, that is 29,029 feet, that of the height, the highest point in the world. She could easily climb up. And how many years did she take just to achieve this success in her life? Only 4 years. So if she climbed the Mount Everest in 1992, and if she had taken 4 years of the training to achieve this highest success in her life, when was she there in Jaipur? Can you say? Yes, dear students, if it happened in 1992 and if she had taken 4 years, then which is the year that she was there in Jaipur when she asked the mountaineers if she could join them climbing up the Aravalli Hills? What was the year? Do you think this is an imaginary story or real life story? What do you say, dear students?
Real life story, sir.
And can you tell me the year in which she was there in Jaipur?
1988.
Very good. Yeah, of course. So simple. 1992 minus 4, right? And within 4 years of her continuous efforts, she could achieve this high success in her life. And at barely 20 years of age, Santosh Yadav scaled Mount Everest. And that time, dear students, in 1992, she was 20 years old. Then, when was she born? In which year? In 1992, she was 20 years old when I was born. So, when was she born? If she was 20 years old that time, in 1992.
1972.
Very good. I think yesterday I had shared with you some details about Santosh Yadav from Wikipedia. Do you remember? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So how many years old he is today? This is
51.
2020. Yes.
50.
Very good, very good. Brilliant students are there. And she was the one just at the age of 20 or successful in scaling the Mount Everest and becoming the youngest woman in the world to achieve this feat. And you know, after that, what she did? Let's see. If her climbing skills, physical fitness, and mental strength impressed her seniors, her concern for the others and desire to work together with them found her a special place in the hearts of fellow climbers. And dear students, she was not self-centered at all. She was not selfish. She was not just thinking of herself. Even if she was the youngest one, she was offering help to others, those who were senior to her, and also she could help the juniors, and so she was very famous among her fellows whoever were there, the companions in climbing up the Mount Everest or climbing up any other mountains. There she was always helping others. And here in the next few paragraphs, we'll get some accounts how she could help others, even taking the risk for her own. Right? Let's see. This is page number 102, paragraph number 8. During the 1992 Everest mission, Santosh Yadav provided special care to a climber who lay dying at the South Pole. And you know, there was a person who was climbing up the Mount Everest with her. She tried to help him very much and she provided all kind of special care. But finally, she was not successful in saving his life. She was unfortunately unsuccessful in saving him. However, she managed to save another climber, Mohan Singh, who would have met with the same fate had she not shared her oxygen with him. And finally, you know, another person named Mohan Singh, who might have also met with the same fate, since who must have been, died, who must have died out of lack of or shortage of oxygen. But there she was, Santosh Yadav, who provided her own, who shared her own oxygen with Mohan Singh. Why it happened, dear students? Because she was strong enough. She had developed her ability and immunity power in such a way that she could easily live in the places like mountains and at such altitudes in the mountains, and so she could help others, and so she was at last successful in saving the life of Mohan Singh, right? So these are the ways, and you have already studied that while the people are climbing the mountains, they need help from one another. A single person can never be able to climb up. Even they need to share their ropes with one another. They need to take help from one another because it takes the last ounce of your energy to climb up even a single step. And inch by inch, high step in the sky, 8,848 meters. Dear students, almost approximately 9 kilometers of the distance that the person has to cover when a person is climbing up the Mount Everest, right? And there she was, and was not just thinking of herself, but was helping others in many ways. So within 12 months, Santosh found herself a member of an Indo-Nepalese women's expedition that invited her to join them. And within 12 months, she firstly completed her expedition to Mount Everest in 1992. And in 1993 itself, she got another opportunity to climb up the Mount Everest and she joined. And what was that expedition known as? Indo-Nepalese Women's Expedition. And there she joined and again climbed up the Mount Everest, secondly, successfully. And she then scaled the Everest a second time, thus setting a record as the only woman to have scaled the Mount Everest twice and securing for herself and India a unique place in the annals of mountaineering. In recognition of her achievements, the Indian government bestowed upon her one of the nation's top honors, the Padma Shri. And dear students, as first time in 1992, she climbed up the Mount Everest and became the youngest woman ever on the planet to climb up the Mount Everest. And secondly, she climbed it up when she was just 21 years old, and she was again the only woman in the world who had scaled the Mount Everest twice, right? And so even the government of India recognized that yes, she had done something extraordinary, and so she was later bestowed upon her one of the nation's top honors, the Padma Shri. In the summary you have seen the then President of India offering her the Padma Shri award, right? Did you see it, dear students? Different civilian awards, Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, and then Bharat Ratna. We know that this foundation, Dr. Viktor Rao Vikhe Patil, he was bestowed upon with Padma Shri. Then Honorable Balasaheb Vikhe Patil, Padma Bhushan. Right? Am I right, dear students? Hello? Can you hear me, dear students?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So do you know these things or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. And you learned about Dr. Kalam, who was the former chief minister, and also he was bestowed upon with Bharat Ratna. And we also have studied about Bismillah Khan, who was also bestowed upon with Bharat Ratna and many such highest or top honors in India. Was it the end of her? No. Let's see what she more contributed for India. Number 10 paragraph. Describing her feelings when she was literally on top of the world, Santosh has said, it took some time for the enormity of the moment to sink in. Then I unfurled the Indian tricolor and held it aloft on the roof of the world. The feeling is indescribable. The Indian flag was flying on the top of the world. It was truly a spiritual moment. I felt proud as an Indian. And dear students, finally, she describes her experience and what she did when she was there on the top summit, the topmost point in the world. There she says that she folded Indian tricolor, the flag over there. And she was feeling herself very proud for her success. And more than that, there she says that the feelings cannot be described, they are indescribable. And she says, at the time when Indian flag was flying on the top of the world, it was truly a spiritual moment. Dear students, we have already studied in the summit within how the experience of climbing up the mountains is firstly physical, then emotional, and it also needs mental support, and then at last it becomes spiritual. And that is the way there Major HPS Ahluwalia had mentioned that it was the spiritual experience to realize oneself, right? And so here at last, Santosh Yadav mentions that she feels very, very proud as an Indian because she did something for our nation. Because she was the only woman, first time, who had been there to Mount Everest, the youngest one. And when she secondly climbed it up, she became again the only woman ever on the planet to climb up the Mount Everest twice. And that way we can say it is her patriotism that she has shown for our nation, India. Also a fervent environmentalist, Santosh collected and brought down 500 kilograms of garbage from the Himalayas. And one more thing she has done here that definitely encourages us. And here we are observing 150th years of birth anniversary of the father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi. Clean India, Green India. Similarly, here also Santosh Yadav contributed a lot, by bringing 500 kilograms of the garbage from the Himalayas. Was it easy task that a woman could do? Not at all. But she did. And so she has again proved herself that she loved environment very much and she always loves the nature very well at very best of her level. And as Major HPS Ahluwalia already mentioned that mountains are nature at its best. They are their beauty and the majesty, it posed the great challenge for all of us to attract our attention so that we can accept the challenge and build ourselves, develop ourselves in a very, very stronger manner. Right? So I'm sure and I hope this lesson of Santosh Yadav has really motivated us, encouraged us. For us, the mountain is just not the Mount Everest, but for us, the mountain is our qualities that we want to possess, or the bad qualities that are being the barrier, the obstacle all the time on our way in order to be successful in our life. Be it laziness, be it some other habits that we find in ourselves. Try to overcome them, and that will definitely help you in the context of this lesson to realize one's pros and cons and make the necessary developments among yourself. Right? Anything, dear students, from your side you want to share? You want to ask? You be ready? Before that, I would like to play this video again from the middle where it was paused. Right? You please watch it and try to understand what the part just now we are done with.
She saved money and enrolled in a course at Uttar Kashi's Nehru Institute of Mountaineering. My college semester in Jaipur was to end in April, but it ended on the 19th of May, and I was supposed to be in Uttar Kashi on the 21st. So I did not go back home. Instead, I headed straight for the training. I had to write a letter of apology to my father, without whose permission I had got myself enrolled at Uttar Kashi. Thereafter, Santosh went on an expedition every year. Her climbing skills matured rapidly. Also, she developed a remarkable resistance to cold and the altitude. Equipped with an iron will, physical endurance, and an amazing mental toughness, she proved herself repeatedly. The culmination of her hard work and sincerity came in 1992, just 4 years after she had shyly asked the Aravalli mountaineers if she could join them. At barely 20 years of age, Santosh Yadav scaled Mount Everest, becoming the youngest woman in the world to achieve the feat. If her climbing skills, physical fitness, and mental strength impressed her seniors, her concern for others and desire to work together with them found her a special place in the hearts of fellow climbers. During the 1992 Everest mission, Santosh Yadav provided special care to a climber who lay dying at the South Pole. She was unfortunately unsuccessful in saving him. However, she managed to save another climber, Mohan Singh, who would have met with the same fate had she not shared her oxygen with him. Within 12 months, Santosh found herself a member of an Indo-Nepalese women's expedition that invited her to join them. She then scaled the Everest a second time, thus setting a record as the only woman to have scaled the Everest twice, and securing for herself and India a unique place in the annals of mountaineering. In recognition of her achievements, the Indian government bestowed upon her one of the nation's top honors, the Padma Shri. Describing her feelings when she was literally on top of the world, Santosh has said, "It took some time for the enormity of the moment to sink in. Then I unfurled the Indian tricolour and held it aloft on the roof of the world. The feeling is indescribable. The Indian flag was flying on top of the world. It was truly a spiritual moment. I felt proud as an Indian." Also a fervent environmentalist, Santosh collected and brought down 500 kilograms of garbage from the Himalayas.
एक
Understood, dear
सेकंड,
students?
कितनी लाइव्स फिट हो सकती हैं? यंग मदर से आमिर बेटू, आमिर
Yes, dear students, understood? Watch the video carefully.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So after the explanation and also before the explanation, we have watched the video, and it must have helped us understand the text in a better way. Can we now move ahead to the thinking about the text, question answers?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So here is the first question. Answer these questions in one or two sentences each. The paragraph numbers within bracket provides clues to the answers. So here is a question, and after that, in a bracket, you are provided the paragraph numbers where you can find the answer of this question, and it can be just in one or two sentences, right? So the first question, I'm reading it out for you all. Why was the holy man who gave Santosh's mother his blessing surprised? Again I'll repeat the question. Why was the holy man who gave Santosh's mother his blessing surprised? Can anyone answer?
Yes, sir. May I?
Yes, dear Ghanshyam, you can.
Sir, the holy man wanted to give blessing that there should be a boy born, but the Santosh's grandmother standing nearby, she told the holy man that there are already five boys in the house, so they wanted a girl. So the holy man was also surprised.
Very good. So here is paragraph number one. You can see to everyone's surprise. You know, Here I will show you from a traveling holy man, as in that he wanted a son, but to everyone's surprise, the unborn child's grandmother, who was standing close by, told him that they did not want a son. And here is a sentence that the holy man was surprised. Understood and found it, dear students, in the textbook? You can see it easily, right? This is page number 87 or 90. 100. 99 is the page number where you could find the answer. Page number 99. Am I right? Ghanshyam, can you please read the next sentence? The next question?
Yes, sir. Question 2. Give an example to show that even a young girl, Santosh, was not ready to accept anything unreasonable. From paragraph
Very
1.
good. I repeat the question. Give an example to show that even as a young girl, Santosh was not ready to accept anything unreasonable. And the answer you could get is page number 100 and paragraph number 2. Can anyone share the answer? This is paragraph number 2, you can see, and there is an answer. Can anyone read it out? Yes, dear students. Just an example you can tell in a sentence or two, which shows that even as a young girl, she was not going to accept at all anything unreasonable. Who wants to say answer? Adit, can you say? Adit Dada? Akanksha? I have.
Sir, from the very beginning, I was quite determined that if I choose a correct and rational path, the others around me had to change, not me.
But example, dear, not her opinion. We want that she proved herself with an example that she is
There, the
not
other
going to at
girls,
all tolerate any unreasonable thing happening in the society, just because she is a girl.
where other girls wore traditional Indian dresses, Santosh preferred shorts.
Very good, dear Akanksha. Absolutely right answer. Akanksha, can you read the next, the third question?
Why was Santosh sent to
Yes, here it is. Page number 102. Why was Santosh sent to the local school? And you will get a reference and an answer in paragraph number 3 on the same page, page number 100. Can anyone answer? This is paragraph number 3, and here is
Sir,
the answer you
may
can
I?
find. Yes, dear Akanksha, you can.
Santosh's parents were affluent landowners who could not afford to send their children to the best schools.
Yes, but why then also they sent Santosh to the local school only? What was the reason? That is an answer. Anyone else? Ankush, Anushka, Deshmukh,
In line with
Arya.
the system in the family.
Yes, dear Akanksha, you please repeat your answer again.
Because of the accordant I mean, sorry.
Even
In
if
the
they
last
were
way
or
system in
her
the
parents were wealthy and could send her to any good school in the city of Delhi, the national capital, the country's capital, but they did send her only to village school because they followed the tradition. And what was the tradition, dear students? That there was no need for the girls, according to the people, to send to the schools, right? Because the girls were not going to be there in their family, but they are going to be in others' family, and so they did not want to invest anymore on that. And anyhow, they knew that there would be great wealth to be spent at the time of girls' marriage, and that time girls were being married just at the age of 16, right? And so this way they followed the traditions, and being rich, wealthy enough to send her to the national capital's place for education, they did not send her, and simply she was enrolled in a school in their own village, right? Any other answer, dear students, from your side? Anybody? No? Can we proceed with the next question? Ankush, can you read the next number 4 question on page number 103? Ankush, can you hear me, dear? Aryan, Kataria, Gayatri, Kushal, Nishant.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Gayatri, you please read number 4 question.
When did she leave home for Delhi and why?
Yes. Question is, when did she leave home for Delhi and why? This is paragraph number 4 where you will find an answer.
Sir,
Gayatri,
may
can
I?
you answer here? Gayatri,
Yes, sir.
it is on page number 100,
She left
paragraph
home
number
and
4.
got herself enrolled in a school in Delhi. When her parents refused to pay for her education, she politely informed
No.
them of her
Okay.
plans to earn money.
When did she leave for Delhi?
Sir, may I?
When her parents asked her to marry
Shreya,
at the age of
Shreya
16.
Patil. Yes, dear Shreya, Gayatri have answered correctly. But let's listen to Shreya also.
At the age of 16, she left home for Delhi
Very
because she was
good. Even Nishant mentioned here in the chat box that she left for Delhi, her home, when she was just 16 years old, when her parents insisted her that she should get married. But she did not want to get married, but wanted to continue her education, right? And that is the reason she left her home and went to Delhi, right? Any other answer, dear students? Something to be added? Could you see here on page number 100, paragraph number 4, highlighted in blue
Sure.
color? There you are getting the answer. Then I would like here Arya Kherde to read the next question. Arya, over to you, dear. Number 5.
Number 5. Why did Santosh's parents agree to pay for her schooling in New Delhi? What mental qualities of Santosh are brought into light by this incident? Paragraph.
Very good. Why did Santosh's parents agree to pay for her schooling in Delhi? This is one part of the question. And another part is what mental qualities of Santosh are brought into light by this incident? Who wants to answer?
So,
And paragraph number 4 is given there. Yes, dear. Ghansham, you can answer.
sir, first, Santosh's parents refused to pay her fees, but then she told that it is okay. She will do a part-time job and manage her school fees. So they said that they will.
Very good. You can see on your screen the paragraph number 4 highlighted, and there you can say answer of the first part. Why did Santosh parents agree to pay for her schooling in Delhi? They agreed to pay for her schooling in Delhi because she had already gone there and she was determined to continue her education. And she also mentioned that she would work for a part-time job in order to fulfill her needs and pay the school fees. But the parents did not want that their daughter should work. Rather, they wanted that it may be just a matter of a year or two, so that she could complete her education there in Delhi, and will be agreed to get married. That was her intention, her parents' intention, and so finally they provided her all the money that was required to continue her education in Delhi. But another part of the question says, what mental qualities of Santosh are brought into light by this incident? So what are the qualities do you notice or find in her? Yes, dear students, can anyone share the qualities? Wasn't she determined? Did she change her decision? She did not change her decision, and so we can say she was determined. Then, did she simply retreat or overcome the situations? She did not retreat. She come over the situations, accepting the challenges, and was also ready to work for her schooling. Right? So I repeat the answer for both the parts. Initially, Santosh's parents refused to support her financially. She accepted this and decided to work part-time to pay her school fee. Then her parents softened and consented to support her. This shows that she was determined and did what she thought was right, and that others had to change their path accordingly. Already she mentions not that if she thinks, not she thinks, if she is right, then not she, but other people should change, not herself, right? So she was very much determined with her decisions, and these qualities we can find in her, right? Nishant also mentions here that the incident shows that she had a very strong will to study. Her willpower is also mentioned. Good. Then the next question here, Nishant, can you please read it here?
Yes, sir. How did Santosh begin to climb mountains?
How did Santosh begin to climb mountains? Can you answer here, Nishant?
Yes, sir. Sir, first she started watching villagers from her room. They were climbing up the mountains and suddenly vanished. And one day she decided to uh, climb herself. So she expected that the mountaineers would not allow her, but she got she they allowed her to climb up, and she first climbed up that Aravali Hill mountain.
Very good. When Santosh joined the Maharani College at Jaipur, she resided at the Kasturba Hostel. It was located near the Arauli Hill. Every day she saw the villagers climb the hills and disappear behind them. She grew inquisitive, curious, and finally one day she joined a group of mountaineers, and for her pleasant surprise, they just not allowed her to come with them, but they also encouraged and motivated her to climb up the mountains, right? And it from there she started her journey to the mountains, right? Next question is, what incidents during the Everest expedition show Santosh concern for her teammates? You know, she was not self-centered, but she was also little concerned for her teammates, the fellow climbers with her. Which is the incident that you can find or come across in the text? Can anyone share?
Sir,
Can I
may I?
share?
Yes, dear Gayatri, and then Rajanandini.
During the 1992 Everest mission, Santosh Yadav provided special care to a climber who lay dying at the South Pole. She was unfortunately unsuccessful in saving him. However, she managed to save another climber, Mohan Singh.
Very good. Rajanandini, same answer or also want to add something to this?
Same, sir.
Very good. Then the next question, what shows her concern for the environment? It was all about her teammates, her concern. But what is her concern that she showed in the text for the environment?
Sir, can I answer?
Yes, dear, you can. Gayatri.
Also a fervent environmentalist, Santosh collected and brought down 500 kilograms of garbage from the Himalayas.
Very good. Then the next question, how does she describe her feelings at the summit of the Everest? When she was successful there and climbed up the Mount Everest, not once but also twice, the second time. How were her feelings? What did she mention?
Her feelings were spiritual.
Yes. Can you describe that is given there in the text? Dear Akansha?
She says that it took some time for the enormity of the moment to sink in, and then she
Yes.
unfurled the tricolor and held it aloft the roof of the world. The
Very
feeling
good.
was indescribable, and it was truly a spiritual moment.
So what are the roots mentioned there in the text of the world? What is it?
The mountain peak.
Absolutely, Mount Everest, the highest peak in the world. Then the next question here, Ghanshyam, can you read?
Yes, sir. Santosh Yadav got into the record books both times she scaled Mount Everest. What were the reasons for this?
Yes. Twice they did something and she was recorded or she made some records. She set some records in the world. So what were the records? First time and the second time. And how it happened? What were the reasons that the
Sir,
record books
can I?
noticed her and
Sir,
recorded
can
her
I?
work? Yes, dear Gayatri. Gayatri,
Sir,
who
first
will
time she was the youngest woman to climb the Mount Everest, and second time she was the first person to scale the Mount Everest twice.
Yes, first woman only, right? She was the first youngest woman in the world to climb up the Mount Everest. But secondly, when she climbed up, she was the first woman in the world to have climbed the Mount Everest twice. Understood?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, dear Ghanshyam.
Sir, in which year she climbed second time?
93, within 12 months, he mentions now. So in 1992, she firstly climbed when she was just 20 years old. And within 12 months is equal to 1 year. That is in 1993. Am I right, dear students?
Yes, sir.
If you want specific dates, you can just Google, you will get those dates also. Right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Welcome, dear. Now, the next question here is complete the following statements. There are some sentences given from the text and there are some blank spaces in it. You just need to complete it. First, from her room in Kasturba hostel, Santosh used to. What she used to or what did she do from there? From
Awesome.
Sir, can I?
She used to watch the villagers climb up on the hills.
very good. Saidi, you read and tell the answer for the second. And third, Piyush, you can.
When she finished college, Santosh had to write a letter of apology to her father because
She had enrolled for a mountaineering course at the Nehru Institute of Mountaineering in Uttarkashi, right? At Uttarkashi. And that was the reason that she had to write a letter to her father for apology, right? Piyush, the third, over to you.
Yes. During the Everest expedition, her seniors in the team admired her
What were the two qualities
determination.
that she was
Determination.
admired for? First is determination, and second is her concern for the others, right? So
Yes.
they are the answers. Very good. Then the next question here is number 4. Pick out words from the text that mean the same as the following words or expressions. Look in the paragraphs indicated. So the first meaning given here, and you need to find the word from the paragraph number mentioned in the bracket.
Sir,
Took to be true
awesome.
without proof.
First is awesome.
Took to be true without proof is you
Awesome
say
Assumed.
means assume.
assumed. Yes. Took to be true without proof. That is, we just assumed that dear students, right? And who had assumed in the text? The holy man. He assumed that she wanted, means Santosh's mother wanted son. But did she really? What did the grandmother say? No. Right? So took to be true without proof. That is assume. Second, Ghansham.
Sir, may I?
Yes, sir. Based on reason, sensible or reasonable.
Based on
Rational.
reason, sensible,
Rational.
reasonable.
Or it is
Yes.
Rational.
rational.
Very good. Rational. That is in the paragraph number 2. Absolutely right. Then the third.
Sir, may I?
Yes, yes, Purush.
The usual way of doing things. Custom.
The usual way of doing the thing is custom. Very good, Purush. Then the fourth.
So can I? Next.
Yes, dear Rajnandini.
A strong desire arising from within. Urge.
Yes, a strong desire arising from within is within yourself. That is urge. That is a strong desire. Very good, dear Rajnandini. And the fifth.
Sir, may
Tia,
I?
Tia, can you hear Tia? Subi,
Sir,
Vedant,
I have answered in chat
Yasha,
box.
Yogiraj, anybody? Are you all there or just being
Sir, I
quiet?
have answered in chat box.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
very good. But let them speak. Who is here? Yogiraj. Come on, Yogiraj. Over to you, dear.
Yes, sir.
Last, the fifth, the power to endure without falling ill. What is it? What's it develop?
Power to endure without falling ill.
What is it? There is a sentence
Resistance.
in the text that it develop dash for the altitude and the cold
Resistance.
that are in the mountains. What is it? Resistance. Very good, Piyush. You are right. And then there is part 2, Maria Sharapova. Any doubt, dear students? Want to ask me something?
No, sir.
Okay.
No doubt.
Then again, I'm now going to play the video giving you the account of the summary there. Would you like to watch it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm just playing. You please watch it very carefully. I'm going to mute myself.
Reach for the top. The only woman in the world who has scaled Mount Everest twice was born in a society where the birth of a son was regarded as a blessing, and a daughter, though not considered a curse, was not generally welcome. When her mother was expecting Santosh, a traveling holy man, giving her his blessing, assumed that she wanted a son. But to everyone's surprise, the unborn child's grandmother, who was standing close by, told him that they did not want a son. The holy man was also surprised. Nevertheless, he gave the requested blessing, and as destiny would have it, the blessing seemed to work. Santosh was born the sixth child in a family with 5 sons, a sister to 5 brothers. She was born in the small village of Joniavas of Rewari district in Haryana. The girl was given the name Santosh, which means contentment. But Santosh was not always content with her place in a traditional way of life. She began living life on her own terms from the start. Where other girls wore traditional Indian dresses, Santosh preferred shorts. Looking back, she says now, "From the very beginning, I was quite determined that if I choose a correct and a rational path, the others around me had to change, not me." Santosh's parents were affluent landowners who could afford to send their children to the best schools, even to the country's capital, New Delhi, which was quite close by. But, in line with the prevailing custom in the family, Santosh had to make do with the local village school. So, She decided to fight the system in her own quiet way when the right moment arrived. And the right moment came when she turned 16. At 16, most of the girls in her village used to get married. Santosh was also under pressure from her parents to do the same. A marriage as early as that was the last thing on her mind. She threatened her parents that she would never marry if she did not get a proper education. She left home and got herself enrolled in a school in Delhi. When her parents refused to pay for her education, she politely informed them of her plans to earn money by working part-time to pay her school fees. Her parents then agreed to pay for her education. Wishing always to study a bit more, and with her father slowly getting used to her urge for more education, Santosh passed the high school examinations and went to Jaipur. She joined Maharani College and got a room in Kasturba Hostel. Santosh remembers, Kasturba Hostel faced the Aravali Hills. I used to watch villagers from my room, going up the hill and suddenly vanishing after a while. One day, I decided to check it out myself. I found nobody except a few mountaineers. I asked if I could join them. To my pleasant surprise, they answered in the affirmative and motivated me to take to climbing. Then there was no looking back for this determined young girl. She saved money and enrolled in a course at Uttarkashi's Nehru Institute of Mountaineering. My college semester in Jaipur was to end in April, but it ended on the 19th of May, and I was supposed to be in Uttarkashi on the 21st. So I did not go back home. Instead, I headed straight for the training. I had to write a letter of apology to my father without whose permission I had got myself enrolled at Uttarkashi. Thereafter, Santosh went on an expedition every year. Her climbing skills matured rapidly. Also, she developed a remarkable resistance to cold and the altitude. Equipped with an iron will, physical endurance, and an amazing mental toughness, she proved herself repeatedly. The culmination of her hard work and sincerity came in 1992, just 4 years after she had shyly asked the Aravali mountaineers if she could join them. At barely 20 years of age, Santosh Yadav scaled Mount Everest, becoming the youngest woman in the world to achieve the feat. If her climbing skills, physical fitness, and mental strength impressed her seniors, her concern for others and desire to work together with them found her a special place in the hearts of fellow climbers. During the 1992 Everest mission, Santosh Yadav provided special care to a climber who lay dying at the South Pole. She was unfortunately unsuccessful in saving him. However, she managed to save another climber, Mohan Singh, who would have met with the same fate had she not shared her oxygen with him. Within 12 months, Santosh found herself a member of an Indo-Nepalese women's expedition that invited her to join them. She then scaled the Everest a second time, thus setting a record as the only woman to have scaled the Everest twice, and securing for herself and India a unique place in the annals of mountaineering. In recognition of her achievements, the Indian government bestowed upon her one of the nation's top honors, the Padma Shri. Describing her feelings when she was literally on top of the world, Santosh has said, "It took some time for the enormity of the moment to sink in. Then I unfurled the Indian tricolor and held it aloft on the roof of the world. The feeling is indescribable. The Indian flag was flying on top of the world. It was truly a spiritual moment. I felt proud as an Indian. Also a fervent environmentalist, Santosh collected and brought down 500 kilograms of garbage from the Himalayas.
Alright, dear students, understood the text very well. Is there any doubt? Want to ask me something? Want to share something?
No, sir.
Okay then. That's it for today. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead. Bye, dear
Thank
students.
you, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.